Hello, everybody, and welcome to Back and Forth. I'm your host, Gecko Man, and sitting beside me is our co-host, Rogue Gambit, the man who just wants to get through this opening without dying.
Yeah, I'll just grab your number when we're done.
Yes. There we go.
All right, now we're talking Spider-Man: No Way Home, the more fun version, and
extended
She-Hulk
version,
episode 3. Where do you want to start?
Let's just start with Spider-Man, go into She-Hulk, then go into what's coming out, going into what's coming out for Back and Forth.
Let's just start overview. What was your thought of seeing Spider-Man: No Way Home again? And
I cried again.
Yeah, me too.
I think I cried more actually.
Yeah. How many people were at the theater where you were? Was it
4?
Oh wow.
There was only 4 people.
There was
not including me and my brother.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
I think there's probably 10 other people where I was, so a little bit more. But I definitely heard some other people crying again. So
yeah.
Still hits.
All right.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed. Personally, I thoroughly enjoyed it again. It was amazing. But yeah, let's get into the more nitty gritty. What did you think of the new footage? You said you had questions. So
yeah, I do have a couple questions. I forget them.
That's okay. Maybe talking about.
Yeah.
Them.
Well, let's talk about the great Matt Murdock scene.
All right. Starting in the middle.
Yeah, it's just one that I vividly remember because I quite enjoyed that scene.
Yeah. So Matt Murdock, when he's representing Happy Hogan to the DODC. So, you liked it? You enjoyed it?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved that they showed more Matt Murdock. I felt like it was a good thing to put in there, and it was a good thing to add in and stuff like that. It was just good.
Yeah, I think that it. So I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. Charlie Cox did a fantastic job as Matt Murdock. I really thought that him, he felt very much like a lawyer. Something that would happen where, he's doing that. The whole thing with Taffy's phone and stuff, I mean, I get why it's there, it's because he eventually he calls Peter about that. So then that makes sense that he sees that. And it was kind of funny, but I could have done without that. I get why it was taken out.
Yeah.
Anything else on that? Or do you want to move on?
What about the scene in the nothing else?
Let's move on to some of the first ones. So
yeah.
We see, I think the first thing that we see is we see more. We see how he gets the paint thrown on him.
Yeah,
and more about that whole.
I did like seeing Spider-Man, fighting other criminals and stuff. Well, getting other criminals and stuff like that. But
yeah, so with a lot of the footage early on that we see, a lot of it was I really, really understood why they took it out because it was kind of supposed to, what's the word? Inundate you more into the world and how much people are torn about Spider-Man and about heroes and stuff. But it didn't add more, in my opinion. You saw what they were trying to do, but it didn't really do its job that well. Every one of the scenes, whether it be that scene where he's stopping the bad guy and the people are arguing and the guy throws paint on him, and then of course the one with everybody at school climb the wall. It was trying to make you feel more like him, put you in his shoes a little bit, but that's who Spider-Man is. He's already that. So I don't think they needed it, and I don't think it did it more for me. It didn't draw me in more. So I understand why they didn't have it on. Unlike how they did it in the previous one, is you were seeing news clips and you saw the paint get thrown on him and him just standing there. And I think that did just as good of a job.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of went with the whole they were really showing you the news side of it in this with J. Jonah Jameson and everything, and it kind of helped that narrative side of it. So I definitely thought I could for sure do without those additions early on. Of course, seeing Spider-Man be Spider-Man, seeing him stop the guy was fun. Yeah. But then it kind of just went on too long.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely felt like it went on a little too long. I will say though, we did get to see. Me personally, I felt like maybe adding a little stuff in they added a little stuff in school. The extended scenes, some of them were pretty good.
So then we'll get into the interviews.
Yeah.
Some of that was added. What did you think of that? So I actually enjoyed, for the most part, all of that.
Definitely kind of showed us like kind of where everybody stood about Spider-Man and stuff, which I thought was a good piece. Was definitely a very well thing to have, because it kind of shows me personally. They don't really show a whole lot of like hecticness, as Peter says when he comes up on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of wish to see some of that. Not all of it, as we saw, but...
Right, yeah, and I think that, like the impliedness of it, was almost more palpable than actually what they showed. Because, like, unless you're going to show all of it, you know, you're always going to, like, show some, and you have to decide how much you're going to show. And I think before, they did a good job in the original version of showing us enough. I do think the interviews, though, and just like getting, people's opinions that have been built up, characters that have been built up, right?
Yeah.
In previous movies, so we actually had some backing, and then them already having lines and stuff with his teachers and whatnot, I think was a good job. They did a good job there. I also thought, and this is something that I think with like the earlier scenes didn't do, and the ones that I was saying I didn't like as much, is it kept the comedic tone of like the movie too, with like the teachers and them. And I didn't necessarily find, like, I didn't laugh at any of them in the theater, but I was like, okay, I could see how that could fit this movie a lot better than some of the other scenes that they took out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was definitely interesting, and could have added. Once again, I don't think it was necessary, but it's something that I could definitely see adding a little bit to the story.
Yeah. And I was totally fine with like him just saying it was hectic down there, like you say, add it all and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit of that, which that kind of gave me, but it was way too much because we had already gotten so much before that.
Yeah. So moving on, I think the next, so besides the happy scene, is the scene with them in the elevator, where they extended it a little bit.
Yeah.
They didn't just hop right to them entering the apartment. We got to see them riding up and stuff. Your thoughts there?
Well, it's just an elevator. And them. I thought it was okay. Definitely kind of gave him just kind of this awkwardness.
Yeah. So my thoughts on it were kind of like, they were torn a little bit in the fact that, like I said before, I don't think it really fit the comedic aspect of the movie itself, and probably why it was taken out.
Oh, yeah.
And it didn't, like I said, it didn't add anything. Like, the awkwardness was definitely there, but like, I think it kind of took, that awkwardness kind of took away from the tension that they were building in the apartment. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably why they took it out as well. And for that reason, I don't think it was necessary. I don't think it added really anything necessarily.
Okay.
That was necessary.
All right.
Okay, so this is something you might... So, I don't know how many times you've seen the movie. I think this is my third time.
I think this is my third time as well, so...
There were rumors, and I haven't looked this up if this is true, but there were rumors that they extended this scene with Aunt May dying. And when I watched it...
I mean...
Like, it felt like it was just a little longer, but I was like, there's nothing that they added. Like, it could just be, it's, a tent scene. It's,
Yeah.
So I don't think they actually added anything there.
They may have had it where I think it was just a little bit longer, like sitting like with like looking at Peter Parker or looking at Happy. I think that's what it was.
Okay.
Because I felt like there was one moment where we were looking a little too long at one of the characters.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of felt like it was longer, but yeah, I'd have to watch them back and forth. No, back to back.
Hey, I'm in there somewhere.
I'd have to watch them back to back. And now that it's out and we can buy it and watch it, I'll probably do that.
All right.
But yeah, I couldn't quite tell. So that's that. Then was it all the way? Was there anything before they're on the Statue of Liberty that was added? Was there anything with? Oh, when they first bring the Spider-Man, I think I heard that they added something there.
I didn't notice anything.
Did they?
I could be wrong.
I don't think they did. No, in fact, I felt like I actually thought, and this could just be like the anticipation of me watching it for the first couple of times. I thought that scene went by a lot faster.
It definitely did. It definitely
but I think
did.
it was just like, me not having that anticipation, like, oh my goodness, here comes Toby, type of thing.
I think it was also due to the fact like we were both anticipating the fact that there was probably something added. I think
there's a rumor about that there. So I think the next one is on the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, so this is where it comes in. This is where it is. So on the Statue of Liberty, I want to know, like, I had quite a hard time trying to figure out like what were the pieces that they added in, what wasn't. I definitely know a few. Like, why don't we start with the first one? I think it was the Spider-Man talking.
So yeah, so basically the only thing they add didn't take out, because originally this is how it was shot. It's just their conversation with all three of them, right? And they're talking about just random stuff, right? About being Spider-Man, about about how does they shoot their webs, all that. So there was just lines here and there added that were originally, and then they just took out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and once again, I'd have to watch it back to back to get every little detail that they added.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, what was added, so it's Tobey Maguire says, or asks something like, are there things you would change or whatever?
Yeah.
And then Andrew Garfield's like, there's so many things I'd change. And that kind of goes back to not only what we know happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also where he says like he lost control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which once again makes me want to see that. I want to see that. That'd be so amazing. And then he says and then they talk like we should do this again sometime.
Yeah.
That was added very much.
I'll get your number afterwards.
Yeah, I'll get your number afterwards. And then the random line where he's like talking about like shooting his wrist. He's like, I want to see the holes. That was his.
No, that was so weird.
And even Tobey Maguire's like reaction was like, wait, what? Look at his wrist. That was interesting. That one was unnecessary. Nobody laughed, and I don't think anybody.
I was so disturbed by that.
Yeah, I think that was it.
No, I feel like there was more, because I feel like when Electro first comes in, I feel like there was a little bit added right there.
Oh, well, I was just saying.
Oh, for
them talking.
Okay. Never move back. Let's go back.
But like, anyways, why? I want to stay on this for a second.
Yeah,
why
stay on that.
They took those out was because Multiverse of Madness hadn't come out. They hadn't announced Secret Wars, all of that, where I think that would have like
revealed
too much, confused some people, and I think now is the right time to have that. Personally, I like most of that being in it. I think, especially the stuff with like Andrew revealing a little bit more about himself. Really, like it. Like I feel like I felt him catching MJ just as much this time, as I did the first time, and I think a part of that was those things that they added there, because like it didn't really lose any of its impact for me. And then, I mean, we can go into rumors, but like they definitely, it seems like, are teasing them returning. I said that I think they're going to come back in Secret Wars. Will they have? I think Andrew Garfield's going to get his own solo movie again. Tobey Maguire, I'm not so sure on. He's a lot older and stuff. So, anyways, moving on. Unless you have something to say there too.
No. I think you've got it all.
So yeah, when Electro comes in, this is another one. I didn't heard any rumors about them adding anything there, but they did feel like it was longer there.
I feel like he just comes in and says like something about like saying just like greeting them and then attacking or something like that. He doesn't go into this whole like basically monologue.
Right.
And I feel like that was new because, and just say it was new. I want to know, what did you think of that part?
I didn't necessarily have negative, like Yeah, when watching it, I did was thinking like, I was too focused on if it was new, I guess,
Yeah.
to know what I really thought about it. So I had to watch it again. It didn't like feel overly long, but I definitely felt like it was longer. And so if it was, I think I would how I remember the original one, like he came in and we saw the lizard like coming in really quickly after that.
Yeah, it was very quickly. Like they didn't have this whole monologue. I feel like they didn't like.
Yeah, so if that is the case, I definitely prefer it that way.
You definitely
like
prefer.
I like the speed at which it was like, oh my goodness, they're like here.
Yeah.
Whereas it was like they're taking on this guy, you know, and it's like he's not the big like we know he's not the big baddie type of a thing. Like, why are we spending so much time here?
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely didn't dislike how they did it. So I would kind of have to once again watch it back to back and see.
Okay. Anything else about that scene or?
No, I don't think there's anything else until the end credit scenes. So.
Nope. I believe there's a couple more that that I can think of.
All right.
I feel like we got a couple extra shots with Doctor Strange. I could be wrong about that.
Okay.
Like, because I feel like we did not see him like actually start making the circle or anything like that. I feel like we didn't get that much of Doctor Strange at the end there. He just talked to Peter Parker, said it, and then like a little bit later he does the spell. We don't see him do anything. We don't see him like. I feel like.
All right. That's something I can't talk to because I thought that was all in the original. So.
Backtrack a little bit here. I feel like as well they extended the scene just a little bit when Sandman comes in and starts doing his little sandstorm around the base of the Statue of Liberty before the Spider-Man talk and got their act together. I feel like
could be. I didn't feel like they necessarily in there either, but that one could have been. I mean, because I remember there was a lot of like him like gathering all the sand and stuff in the original. So.
And I feel like there were a couple more scenes with Electro. Is that his?
Electro, yeah.
Yeah, I keep saying that, and I'm like, is that his name?
Matt Gargan.
Sure. And then I feel like there was one extra scene of them disappearing, of heading back home when Doctor Strange.
Yeah, that was another one. I wasn't sure
because I feel like
we saw everybody.
Yeah, we just saw Doc, Green Goblin go and
the Spider-Man
go.
They could have added a couple more of those. If they did, I think I prefer it with them in it. I'm not. I don't remember for sure how many. I mean, it's been a while.
I feel like there was one more scene that I'm forgetting, but I could be wrong.
All right. Well, that's all I remember from the movie. If there's stuff we missed, you can put in the comments. We can comment on it maybe next week.
Yep. Let us know about those scenes if you think they're
and I definitely
real.
I definitely want to watch both of them again to see if we missed anything else. I'm sure there'll be tons of other people's breakdowns going up about them in the near future, but there is of course the end credit scene that was added.
I missed it completely because I won't say.
Yeah, I had heard rumor that it was happening, so I was definitely like waiting for it. So if you remember, originally there was the trailer for Multiverse Madness that played where normally a second end credit scene would be. And so instead of that, they had an end credit scene, and I loved it. So basically what it was why can't I remember her name? The blonde lady who does the, announcements at the school.
Oh, her? Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
But it was her it was like her last one, her like graduation day one, right? And it did like a compilation of just like throughout the years of high school there. And it had like, them doing the from homecoming shots of the contest they did. It had shots of them going to Europe and Far From Home, all that, but it was all without Peter Parker, and of course, since he didn't exist,
Yeah.
it was really good. Of course, it was very like what I liked about it is that it really set the tone for like how the movie ended, right? And it really carried that through with showing like how he doesn't exist. And like if you remember how the movie actually ends, is him setting up his apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see him set up some photo and then before he puts the Emperor down, right? He's holding a photo in his hand that he puts down, and then they show him placing the Emperor, right?
Wow.
But you never see what that photo is.
Yeah.
I've seen people break down what they think it is and everything, and a lot of people thought it was a photo that you see earlier in his room with him, Ned, and MJ. But if this is true, that like the spell erase everything, would just be Ned and MJ.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just, I don't know, I really like that the way it ends really shows that like that would have him seeing that photo now is like him, like a reminder of what had happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what he had lost and what he's no longer a part of. So anyways, I really like the end credit scene. Once again, I kind of see why they didn't have it, but I really think it is better with that end credit scene.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to say? Any last words you want to say to our great and faithful Spider-Man?
Good. So now going back, wrapping all, watching it now for the third time, did it change your opinion? Has it solidified, changed your opinion of like where you'd rank it?
Oh, it's staying right where it's at.
Okay. I think it did change it for me. Well,
really?
Once again, like when I rank it, of course, I'd rank it, how the best I see it, right? Even though, because I did say like there's things in it that I didn't like as much as the original, and I'd rank it at the end of the year. We plan to do another ranking of we have so much Marvel stuff, but I do think it did move it for me.
Where?
We'll talk about that later.
Oh,
all right, moving on.
Because it should be number 1.
No, it should. Before it was in the right place at number 2. Anyways,
moving on. Let's get off of this before we start throwing hands.
Let's move on to She-Hulk episode 3.
All right.
Thoughts?
It's She-Hulk.
Yeah, it was episode 3.
It was episode 3. Should I say more?
I mean, I'll talk if you want to.
I was not a big fan of this episode.
Me neither.
I did like Wong.
I liked Wong.
Most scenes, I'm gonna say.
I really didn't like how. No, I'm going back and forth. But I liked how they depict him, because so how we see him originally in Doctor Strange. The first Doctor Strange, right? He's very much like detached from the world, right? Like he's very much like he's the librarian at Comertage, and that's like all he knows. He mentions Beyonce, but then he starts learning about the world, right? And now, the way we saw him in Multiverse of Madness, he really seemed to understand the world and how it worked, and like why things were certain ways, and like he was Sorcerer Supreme and learning that, or when we see him in No Way Home, right? He's learning it, and then in Multiverse of Madness, he really seems to have like understood who he is and how the world worked. And I feel like they really backtracked in She-Hulk, where he like didn't really understand the world, and it's supposed to be funny, of course, but like it was just over the top enough that I felt like it really detracted from the growth we have seen in him. But at the same time, like we haven't got an in-depth enough look to know exactly how he'd react. So I didn't think it was bad, but it just didn't feel quite right to me. That being said, I do think he was probably like the best part.
Not Abomination.
No, I really like Emil Blonsky. I like the actor, like I've said, but yeah, alright, so my problems weren't necessarily with him. I think the actor once again did a great job. I like the story that they told for the most part. What I didn't like is the whole proceedings. It was like, okay, we knew, I don't know, at least I knew from the very start exactly how it was going to end. It was just like, how are we going to get there? And so all like the them talking and like it didn't feel like it was just like,
Oh yeah,
we know they're not going to like anything that they say until Wong shows up and he's going to say good day.
Yeah, exactly.
Type of thing. And it was like, all right. And so just the way it went about it, it wasn't funny to me, and it wasn't building any drama. It was just there, and it was just boring.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing with the other story that they were telling with the
that was
just,
I don't
wasn't
understand.
funny. It was like the court didn't feel real.
Yep.
It felt so fake, the courtroom, and like even like with the random celebrity that they were saying, that she was impersonating, right, showing up and having no like security with her or anything.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wait, what? Why is she here? And then it was just like another cameo like they teased, and then I don't know, that whole part of it just felt so fake, and did not enjoy that at all.
Yeah, that was.
I did enjoy the news segments at the start that like we got to see of like them, reporting about what was going on and stuff. I felt like that was pretty realistic about like how the MCU or 616 would react and stuff. And that was fine. The interview with She-Hulk though was
that was
so ridiculous. It was just like we already know all it. Like they're just telling us stuff we already know, and like wanting us to react some way. I don't know. It didn't feel real. It was like, this is. I've watched the news before. This isn't how it goes. Like I don't know what you want from me. Like yeah.
Well, maybe they didn't watch the news.
But like I guess and then the setup. Okay, and then the ending. The Wrecking Crew, of course, we get to see.
Yeah, that was.
What I enjoyed about it was, of course, their reference to how they got their weapons. That's how they get their weapons in the comics, if you didn't know.
They beat up an Asgardian construction crew, really?
Basically.
Oh.
And then, there's like referencing that they're Asgardian weapons. Then once again, and then they also reference earlier, and I mentioned they reference how she gets her powers, and they're like, what did Wong send them off? So like rumors that a mafia member sent by Wong to assassinate her and whatnot is how she got her powers, which is how she gets her powers in the comics. Not Wong sending mafia members, but mafia members trying to kill her. So like I liked those comic book references that they did, and then of course I kind of liked that they were, or what I didn't like was them seemingly trying to bring everything together with somebody trying to get her blood or whatnot.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm guessing that has to do with Val and the Dark Avengers and everything, and Thunderbolts coming. But I don't know, it felt very forced at the end. Where it's like, did you get it? I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely did feel forced.
And then like the way they played it off and stuff just felt.
I'm sorry, I was very disappointed in the Wrecking Crew when they came.
I mean, I just kind of found it funny because, like, in the comics, they're so absurd, and then they were just like absurd in it too. So
yeah.
Oh, another thing I didn't really like. All right, so and this could have just been me watching No Way Home right before watching it, and the fact that you see how like No Way Home was, right? You can find out who he is, and they have helicopters outside his house and everything. But like people know who She-Hulk is, right? And nobody's like outside.
Oh yeah,
there's not even like paparazzi there. There's like literally that she can just like go to her house, and the only people that care are the Wrecking Crew. It's like what?
Maybe they don't really care as much as Spider-Man because Spider-Man's been around a long time.
But like the rest of the time, right? There's
good point.
So many people talking. That's like apparently the only thing the news talks about is She-Hulk. It's like, and she's like the only hero in LA area, really.
That's true.
That we know of. Of course, we're learning that there's more and stuff. But yeah, and I feel like this episode wasn't like the setup was like the end, I guess, and it didn't really.
Yeah.
It felt forced, like I said. So like it didn't really seem to tie into the rest of the episodes all that well.
I think it was just a filler episode.
Yeah. So, anyways, wasn't a big fan. Anything else you want to say about it?
I'm just gonna say this. I'm just gonna say this. What I think is going to happen with Daredevil, of course,
Yep.
is the fact that we're not going to see Matt Murdock. We're just going to see Daredevil.
I would disagree. I think we're going to see both of them.
All right.
I think we're first going to see Matt Murdock, and then we'll see Daredevil.
Listen, I'm not saying they're one and the same. They're one and the same. They're completely different characters.
They're two completely different characters, and seeing Daredevil, you definitely have not seen Matt Murdock. This is true.
But I just think we're going to see Daredevil.
All right. I guess that can lead us into rumors and upcoming stuff. So what do you got?
Star Wars. Yes. Star Wars.
Yeah,
I had the name of the director for Skeleton Crew, and then I completely forgot it. If you've got it, let me know.
I should. It is John Watts.
I think you're right. Let me double check that here.
Same guy that directed the Spider-Man movies?
Yep. I think you are right on that. Apparently I don't know how to spell Watts.
W-A-T-T.
So other than that, Andor, like I keep saying, Andor's been the only thing I've been focused on, but nothing new came out for Andor. Again, this is going to be I believe it's going to be probably the darkest Star Wars thing we've ever seen. So it's going to be very, very interesting. But other than that, I want to do a little something here. Do you have any questions for me about Andor?
Not right now. I might as we get closer.
Okay. Just a little curious. Other than that, it is not. I do not see anything about John Watts doing Skeleton Crew. By the way, do you know who we're going to be following in Skeleton Crew?
Not really.
We're going to be following a group of kids, apparently, that are supposed to be lost in space.
Okay.
So, which is kind of weird, in my opinion. We don't really have kids in Star Wars, if you know what I mean, being like the main character or anything like that, other than Rebels, I guess. But so it's going to be kind of weird to see a Star Wars movie or show, whatever it is.
John Watts is directing it.
Yeah, I just got that up. You steal that from me.
I thought you said you didn't have that.
I said I don't think so, and then I found it. Okay. And then you steal that from me, so now I have nothing to say. No. So yeah, John Watts is directing Skeleton Crew, so might actually be really good. I have no idea if this is going to be a completely new characters that we're going to be seeing, or if we're going to have some some familiar characters in this show. I don't know. Other than that, nothing on Tales of the Jedi, nothing on all these other shows, all these other stuff coming out. And I believe that is because of Andor being pushed back so far to September 21st, which is crazy. Other than that, yeah, that's all I've got. What you got for Marvel?
All right. Well, we are now less than a week away from D23.
Yeah, I'm hoping stuff is revealed for Star Wars.
So yeah, lots of stuff's going to be revealed there for Star Wars and Marvel. I'm sure we'll get the trailers we've been waiting for. Hopefully something about Werewolf by Night, as I've been saying for a while.
You say that, but now I'm just in disbelief that Werewolf by Night is coming.
I don't know. There were rumors that a new Black Panther trailer released, and I was like, I don't think so. And I like everything. It was like all the trailers people were talking about. I'm like, this is the exact same trailer that we already had. So, anyways, I don't think there was one.
Are you sure? Maybe there's a new scene that you seem to miss.
Maybe. I'm leaning towards no.
I will say, though, I did see the Wakanda Forever poster outside the movie theater when I was walking to see it. I actually really liked it.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're not getting too much new information. Of course, lots of rumors. Lots of rumors going on around about Fantastic Four since people have said we have the director now, we have the actors.
Is it John Watts?
They're going to get announced. No, I said last week who it was. It's the director of WandaVision.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Who
Yeah.
most people think it's going to be. I'm blanking on his name right now. I'm sorry, but that's who most people think it's going to be, and that's the rumors going about. And based on that, there's just so many rumors about who's going to be playing Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman and whatnot. But yeah, I don't think we'll get any confirmation. Like, there's a lot of conflicting rumors too by some pretty big sources, so I don't think we will really know at all until D23.
What about, do we have any rumors about, like, The Thing, Human Torch?
The only rumor about The Thing is the one that I had said earlier.
Okay.
I'm just blanking on his name now, too. Because there's the rumors about The Thing showing up in She-Hulk. Which still could happen, but I don't think so. And then there's been quite a bit of rumor about if any Spider-Man stuff's going to get announced at D23, if there's going to be another Spider-Man movie before Secret Wars, and then, of course, all the X-Men stuff. Now, I do think a lot of movies will be announced that weren't announced at, or not a lot. I think a couple of movies that weren't announced will be announced. That weren't announced at San Diego Comic-Con, so I think we'll get a couple more movies that are going to be in the Phase 6 slot. But I don't think we're going to get any actors for X-Men characters, in my opinion. Speaking of which, that reminds me, I forgot to say last week, I cannot believe I blanked on like the biggest Easter egg
my goodness.
from episode 2 of She-Hulk.
No, you talked about it, if it is what I'm thinking of.
I didn't talk about it on here. I talked to you about it, but not on here.
Okay, well, someone's slacking.
I know. I can't believe I forgot. Because we got a Easter egg for a certain mutant we all know and love, and that is Logan.
I don't know if we all love him, but...
We all love him. Everybody does. Who doesn't? And that it was a news headline or whatever on her computer when she was looking for a job, and it said, "Man fights in bar brawl with metal claws." And if anybody knows, Wolverine, his two favorite things to do are fight in bar brawls and bring out his metal claws. So
I thought they were rubber.
no, they're adamantium actually. So what does that mean? Well, it means not only is Wolverine in the universe, but he already has his metal claw. So when we see him, it's not necessarily going to be an origin story again. Which, what has Kevin Feige said a bunch of times? We've seen the origin stories. We don't need to see him again, right? He said that's why they did Spider-Man the way they did it. He said that's what they're going to do with Fantastic Four. Characters that we don't know as well are going to get origin stories like Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that. Doctor Strange, right? That's why they got the origin stories, because we didn't know them as well. So I don't think we're going to get too many origin stories for the X-Men. I think they're going to come in and already be like, outsiders impressed and all that jazz, and we're going to instantly be put into that, which is, what I talked about when they announced X-Men 97. I was like, that would be really good to like get us into that world, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why that they're releasing that before the X-Men movie comes out. But also, there was also a news clipping in the same screen, which is an Easter egg of the fact that it's the first.
Really? It's the first
time that the Celestial has been mentioned, and there was this thing that said, "Why is there a big statue in the ocean or whatever
about stinking time?"
About stinking times, right? So it's been referenced now. Yay! Still don't know anything about it. Not sure what's going on with it. Of course, I've talked about how it can be related to the X-Men and all that jazz. I don't know if it's going to be tied to it, but it was referenced. So, going up back to rumors and stuff. Yeah, there hasn't been too much of this. I feel like Daredevil. Not Daredevil. Deadpool. I do think that's going to be announced at D23 is the next Deadpool movie. Might even get to see a look at it. As I've said, stuff has been started on it, shooting it and whatnot, so there could be a little teaser, or at least images. Something that was said, though, I'm trying to remember who said it, but they said Daredevil will, it was either, I'm getting everything mixed up here. It was either when they were announcing that it was coming to MCU, or when the writer was talking about what they were trying to do. But anyways, what was said was Daredevil's coming, Deadpool's coming with his friend, and he's bringing his friends. So, at least I thought when he's coming, he was probably bringing Cable with him. Mm-hmm. Cable was probably going to come to the MCU too. If people haven't seen the Deadpool movies,
I haven't.
Okay, spoilers for Gecko Man, but do
you need like a reset?
I need sleep. Cable. Daredevil. Cable is very prominent in the Deadpool comics, and he shows up in one of the Deadpool movies. He's played by Josh Brolin, so I think it'd be funny when he comes to the MCU. A lot of references to Thanos, of course, since Thanos is also played by Josh Brolin. So, I also think, now that was mentioned, I think that Colossus will be coming, since Colossus plays a pretty prominent role in both the Deadpool movies.
I love Colossus. He's a great character.
Colossus. This is also, I think, a lot better Colossus than what's represented in the X-Men movies. Colossus was great in the X-Men movies, don't get me wrong, but I think...
I don't remember him at all.
Right, he has very few scenes, but I think this depiction of him really showed who he was a lot better. His, want to do good was really well shown. So, I like that. And then, of course, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, or whatever her name is, probably coming too.
I have no idea who that is.
But there's a lot of references to all the other X-Men, and so who else from the Fox X-Men universe is coming? I don't know. Since Secret Wars is happening, they could bring a lot of them for that and just kill them off and whatnot, or just send them back to the universe so they're not a part of it. I don't know. But that is interesting. And I do think we'll be getting some announcements about Deadpool. I also think we'll be getting announcements about Moon Knight and what's going on with that. Of course, we'll be getting Loki Season 2 trailers.
Mm-hmm.
And an Ant-Man Quantumania trailer, probably.
Whoa.
Yeah, we definitely are. I think we have to be.
So if I'm getting the whole timeline correct of what movies are coming out.
Yeah.
It's supposed to, so we have Wakanda Forever.
Yep.
And then it's Quantumania.
Yeah. So
through your little book there.
I have my little list here. I wrote them all out in the order. They're coming out. Alright, so Wakanda Forever comes out in November. Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special comes out in December. Ant-Man Quantumania comes out February 17th. And then Secret Invasion comes out spring of 2023. That's another thing we haven't got any trailer of, so we're probably going to get a trailer for. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 comes out May. And then in the summer is Echo and Loki.
Okay.
So those are the things that probably are close enough that we'll be getting first looks at, trailers for, whatnot. We even see Daredevil in the Echo trailer. If they do a full trailer, they might be a little too far out to get trailers for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Echo, though there was a trailer showed for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 at San Diego Comic-Con that we didn't see, and the director said why he didn't release it to the public was all the CGI wasn't done and stuff, so it was the trailer, but there was a lot of just seeing people, but they were still in their motion capture suits and stuff.
Okay.
So, if I don't know if they're trying to get it all ready for D23, the trailer, but that's a trailer that I guess we couldn't see since the trailer is made. It just isn't finished. Yeah. We also... Okay, so there's a lot of rumors about Spider-Man going around, because there's always rumors about Spider-Man going around. So there's so much going on with him. And there's been some really interesting news in the comic book front that kind of makes people think that they might be leaning a certain direction in the movies. So far, that hasn't been the case when things have leaked about that, and they're like, "Oh, this comic book's coming out. Oh, does that mean they're killing Peter Parker off, or does that mean that they're bringing this Peter Parker back, or whatnot?" So I don't want to go into those right now, but I am very interested in if there's going to be another Spider-Man movie before Secret Wars, because Spider-Man comics tie a lot of comics together in the comics, right? They tie a lot of the other characters, whether it ties mutants into like the Second Civil War or World War Whole. It kind of ties. It's how they kind of get the Inhumans there, and I think they'll probably change that with Comic-Con. Anyways, that's beside the point. But anyways, because like in the comics, I do think they're going toward like another Civil War at some point. And I think that Spider-Man's kind of what's going to tie that all together.
You think it's going to be like X-Men and...
Well, so this is so far in the future that I don't want to talk about it too much. But
yeah.
As we know, like we had the Infinity Saga, and now we have what they're calling the Multiverse Saga. Most people are thinking the next saga is going to be the Mutant Saga that will like culminate in like the Civil War, Mutant Civil War, because in the comics there's 5 main Civil Wars. One of which is the mutants versus the X-Men, or
mutants versus the X-Men.
I'm sorry, I am really tired. We're recording this late at night. Anyways, the X-Men versus the Avengers is one of them. Are you
sure it isn't mutant versus X-Men?
I'm pretty sure it's not. I could be wrong. And so with Spider-Man being now one of the only Avengers that's like could be like the next leader of the Avengers, I think that his movies are going to be really important. So I really want to know if we're getting another Spider-Man movie before Secret Wars, because that just in my head that would tell me a lot of who could be in that movie. Because if we don't have a Spider-Man movie before then I think like it's going to be a lot harder to introduce certain characters that would be that I would think would be in Secret Wars because of the comics. Whereas if we get it, I think it'd be a lot easier to tie things in. Moving into the next saga that they tell, it would also tell me how much Spider-Man, because like the next one would be him. The next Spider-Man movie, I think, would be him kind of taking his role of leading the X-Men or following, whether it be Falcon as Captain America or Ironheart's Iron Man or Doctor Strange or whoever is the new leader, right? And, you know, him being Spider-Man really like can set that up and set the tone for what the movies are coming in. Also, on top of that, his movies are always going to make money, right? And so far they haven't let us down. So
you see
very
that
interested
now.
in that.
Okay.
But so yeah, D23 next week will be definitely, our episode will be heavily. I haven't talked to Gecko about this, but we may
just be heavily focused on D23.
Well, yes, we will, but because of I don't know when all the announcements are going to happen.
I think I saw a post about that saying they were going to happen sometime on the weekend.
Right, I know. Well, I know when each of their panels are, but I haven't decided if we should. I don't know if we want to take 2 full weeks to talk about it, basically, because if they announce stuff on like Saturdays, right?
Yeah.
And then we talk about what they announced on Thursday and Friday, and then we have to talk next week about what they announced on Friday and Sunday, Saturday and Sunday. It also just depends on how much they front load it versus back load it, right? They could give us all this stuff early that we can just like talk about and then rumor about the other stuff. So the next 2 weeks, it could be only D23 with a little She-Hulk in there.
Yep.
Or it could be we could bring in some other stuff that we could talk about.
Yeah, we haven't.
I do think they're probably going to start with some comic stuff, so maybe we'll even talk some. All right. Anything else?
Nothing else on upcoming, so.
Alrighty, then, well, glad you guys listened to me ramble there for a while and try to get my thoughts in order, and we'll see y'all next week.
Don't put yourselves inside a box.